Thanks everyone for joining for the webinar today. My name is Louis Wang and I'm a product manager for Amazon QuickSight. And today I'm super excited to share with you ML Insight, which is a new feature that we've made generally available last week. And just as a recap for those of you who are not familiar with QuickSight, Amazon QuickSight is our cloud-powered BI service that allows you to deliver insights to all users within your organization. One of our key focus for QuickSight is to be able to innovate quickly for our customers. And part of that is allowing customers to be able to deliver insights directly to their customers through the QuickSight application or embedded via their own application. Today, there are more customers using machine learning on AWS than anywhere else, and we believe that machine learning is the future for analytics. It is our goal to help customers get deeper insights from their data using ML. AWS offers a broad and deep portfolio of data analytics services, from services to help customers build data lakes on AWS, to manage their relational databases, NoSQL databases, as well as do big data processing, data warehousing, and ad hoc querying on their data. And as you can see, QuickSight sits at the very top along with machine learning. We see QuickSight as a last mile tool to help customers analyze, report, and make sense out of the growing data that they have on AWS. And going forward, you'll see more and more cases where QuickSight leverages the machine learning expertise of AWS and Amazon to help customers get to the insights faster. And part of the reason why there's so many customers that are using QuickSight is that it is really easy and cost-effective to deploy to everyone in your organization. QuickSight, as I mentioned earlier, is a cloud-native SaaS application. So we do all the heavy lifting, and that means that there's no server or instances for you to manage. And because it is a native AWS BI service, it just works with all the various AWS data services that you're using today. It automatically scales whether you have QuickSight deployed to 10 users or 10,000 users. There is no manual planning or manual scaling needed. And you only pay for what you use. So with pay per session pricing for readers, you can deploy QuickSight to everyone in your organization and only pay for the active usage that is generated. With ML Insight, which is going to be our focus today, QuickSight now comes with out-of-the-box machine learning to help you save time and development costs to get to the insights faster within your data. And finally, you can now deliver these insights via the QuickSight standalone app, so your users can log into the QuickSight app to consume the dashboards and reports that you have shared with them, or you can deliver this insight by embedding QuickSight dashboards directly within your application with your own look and feel. Since we've launched QuickSight roughly 2.5 years ago, we released more than 120 new features, or roughly a feature per week. Here are just some of the examples. So let's get a closer look at the pricing of QuickSight. In QuickSight, there are two types of roles or personas. For the authors who connect to data and create analysis and share dashboard, it is a flat $18 per user per month fee for the annual subscription. And for the reader with the pay per session pricing, you only pay for the active session starting at 30 cents per 30-minute session, and you never pay more than $5 per month for unlimited sessions. We see many customers have usages from users with mixed patterns. For example, some users need to access their daily reports, while others may only need to view the reports once a week or once a month. And traditionally, what happens is customers often end up either over-provisioning their capacity for BI and then paying for access that is not used, or they under-provision, which restrict usage to only a few people within their organization. So pay-per-session pricing is designed to remove this friction and allows you to provision QuickSight to everybody in your organization and only pay for the actual usage that you see within your organization. Now, as the volume of data that our customers have keeps growing, how do you keep up with all that data, right? And given the manual nature of how companies do BI today, it is becoming more and more challenging to actually harness that data for business insight. It's kind of like looking for a needle in the haystack. And this is where machine learning comes into play. Amazon is a pioneer in using machine learning, and within AWS, you can use all of these capabilities through our extensive ML and AI services. So with the launch of ML Insights last week, we looked at how Amazon has been using machine learning on common business challenges, and we've integrated them into the product to make it easier for you. With ML Insights, we're introducing 3 new powerful features that integrates these into QuickSight to provide customer with insights that just goes beyond visualization. First of all is anomaly detection to help you uncover the hidden insights within the aggregates. Machine learning and forecasting to help you predict your business trends with just a few simple clicks. And auto narrative to help you tell the story of your data in plain language. These capabilities comes out of the box and are super easy to get started with just a few point and clicks, meaning that there's absolutely no custom development at all. So let's start by looking at how we're using machine learning for anomaly detection to help you discover the hidden insights in your data. The challenges customers have today is that because there's so much data to analyze, oftentimes they just resolve to looking at the aggregates or miss out anything that is happening within. And because of the volume of data, most customers typically just look at the subset of the data, which creates data blind spot. As a result, companies are usually slow to react to some of these business incidents and may only learn about it days or weeks after. So with ML-powered anomaly detection, our goal is to help customers uncover these hidden insights in their business metrics that are not scalable with manual analysis. So we can continuously analyze across billions of data points and millions of metrics without users having to manually slice and dice their data or drill in several levels deep to spot the unexpected trends and outliers. And not only that, but QuickSight helps you understand not just what happened, what anomalies occurred, but also why they occurred so that you can take effective actions. Now let's look at ML forecasting. Forecasting is something that every company needs to do, but nobody really likes doing them. And today we see many companies continue to use Excel for forecasting, which are complex to maintain. They don't learn from the new data that continues to come in. And simple things such as excluding outliers, imputing missing values, or are real world scenarios that are difficult to do. So with ML forecasting, we're making it super easy for the non-technical users to be able to forecast their business trend without spending hours or days building their Excel models and messing with spreadsheets. It's all just point and click. Lastly, and this is my personal favorite, is ability to start telling the story of your data in words. And the problem we see today with most dashboards is that oftentimes, while they look pretty, they are not really effective in communicating the insights. We see users spending hours every day in front of their computer, sifting through the charts and tables, slicing and dicing, really trying to figure out what insights can be extracted, and then summarizing that into a Word document that can share it with executives. With auto narratives, we are automating the entire process by allowing customers to represent their data in words that humans can easily understand. So these narratives can be deployed, embedded within your existing dashboards, and they're fully customizable, so you can tailor it to your unique business needs. And most importantly, there's no coding required, so you can get started within minutes. Now, let's see it in action. Let me switch over to a demo dashboard that I have built. So here's a demo dashboard with all the things that I've just mentioned before. You'll notice that it looks slightly different than a typical dashboard. You still have the charts and tables, but they are now taking a supporting role. The narrative that you see here on the top is what's telling the story of the data so that when somebody comes in, they can read it and understand the state of their business, and they're fully customizable. So you see here they have some narrative about daily revenue. How does it compare to the previous period? How does it compare to goal? How does it compare to the 30-day average? On the right, Here's a narrative that summarizes the forecast by the end of the year and how we are tracking against our target, and a supporting visual on the bottom that illustrate that forecast. The blue line here is the actuals, and the orange line is the forecasted numbers generated automatically by QuickSight. On the center here, you'll see a couple of anomaly callouts, whether they're anomalies that are by product and country, or anomalies for a specific customer. For example, daily spend for this particular customer on November 1st was 58,000. It was detected as an anomaly, and it was higher than the expected $51,000 by as much as 13%. So notice that in addition to QuickSight detecting that there was an anomaly, we're also calling out and computing what the forecasted spend for this particular customer should be, so you get a sense of the delta. As a dashboard consumer, what you can then do is click on this Insights widget and then choose Explore Anomalies. This is the anomaly exploration page, and it is a page that QuickSight automatically generated that allows you to be able to, at a glance, see what are all the anomalies that happens for the latest period. In this case, this page is showing anomalies on the revenue for November 1st, 2018. So if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the anomalies detected for each of the customers that exhibited an anomalous purchase behavior. Now, scrolling back to the top and then focusing on the left side of the screen, you'll see the top contributors. At the top, we summarize this anomaly for you, telling you that, hey, you know, for this customer, there was a 10% plus increase period over period. And on the bottom, you'll see what are the top contributors to that increase. You get a quick summary of moving some products, each contributed to 31% of that anomaly and why. And on the bottom here, you can also see that it was mostly, the spend of this customer was mostly driven within the India country. So this gives users a quick summary and details around what the anomaly is and what are the top drivers for the anomalies. On the top, you can click on the Show Anomalies by Date button, which then pops up a new visual. Think of this as a visual time picker. It is a bar chart that shows the number of anomalies that were detected on any particular day. So I can hover over on October 1st and see that there are 4 anomalies detected on October 1st. I can click on that bar, and that refreshes the charts below to show the customers that exhibited anomalous behavior on that particular day. So here are all the customers. And then up on the top, I can expand the controls, which provides me with additional configuration. So for example, one of the functionalities that QuickSight offer is the ability for you to change anomaly threshold. There are a couple of options here. If you choose a very high threshold, it means that you're going to see less anomalies based on the anomaly score that the algorithm generated. And if you select low, you're going to see more anomalies. So this adjusts the sensitivity of the anomaly detection algorithm. For example, if I choose very high, rather than 4 anomalies for that day, now there's only 1, right? And if I choose low, I'm going to see more anomalies again. Another functionality that we provide is allow you to filter by the directionality of the anomaly. Depending on the business, a spike in your metric may be a good thing, but it may also be a bad thing. So for example, you don't want to see spikes if you are looking at call center contacts to your company, right? So what you can do then is filter the anomalies by anomalies that are lower than expected. And in this case, you'll only see anomalies where there is a trending decrease or a significant drop, like in this example. And of course, you can also filter by other dimensions that are within your data set, for example, customer name. So you can look at the usage metric for a particular customer or for a particular country that you sell your products in. Now, what I've shown you is basically an output of a pre-built dashboard that I've created for this webinar. But now let's go into and look at how do you create something like this from scratch. So I'm going to switch over to a different tab here. And this is a brand new analysis that I've created. You notice that there's absolutely no visuals at all. This data set itself has 4 fields: a date metric, a date field, a 2-dimensional field, which is geography and product categories, and the revenue that is generated for the geos and product categories. To start, I can create a new visualization. And let me look at, let's say, revenue over time. So I can pick the line chart and then select date and the revenue metric. So this now creates a simple line chart that plots the revenue over time. And the date here is aggregated daily. And I can change the metric here to currency. And let me create a couple of those to generate a dashboard. So here I can make the charts a little bit smaller. I'm going to add another one that shows, let's say, product revenue by product. And I'll create another one that is revenue by region. I can drag these visuals around to create a dashboard layout. So let me put this up the top here. So they're all side by side. And lastly, I'm going to create a chart, a pivot table, right, that shows revenue for product and geo over time. So this is a pretty typical pivot table. You can see that it is tracking on the columns the time, and then on the rows are the combinations of where you're selling your product and which product categories and the revenues associated with them. Now you can imagine that it is pretty difficult looking at this table to really understand what's going on with your business, right? Because first of all, there are just so many numbers, right? It's very difficult to extract the trends out of this. And then also, if you plot this as a line chart, you'll imagine, a pretty overwhelming and messy line chart that you need to look at, right? So how do we address some of these challenges to help customers really get to the insight faster without having to spend hours looking at these numbers? So you'll notice that on the left side, there is the Insights button. So this is the ML Insights functionality. If you click on it, you'll see immediately a number of what we call suggested insights. Suggested insights are interesting insights from your data that QuickSight automatically generates based on the visualizations that you're looking at. So right now I have my focus on this pivot table. So I'm looking at the suggested insights for this pivot table. So it summarizes things like what are the top 3 geos, what are the top 3 product categories I'm selling to. If I click on another chart, let's say the line chart up top here, you'll notice that the suggested insights panel scrolls to the top, and now I'm looking at the suggested insights for revenue over time. You can click on one of these and it will highlight the point on the chart, like what the highest day is, what a day over day change looks like, what the growth rate looks like. And we also call out anomalies in the time series, as well as we do forecasting automatically for the next few periods. So now let's say you wanted to run anomaly detection on this data, right? And so that you can be alerted on when there are anomalies for a specific geography that you're operating your business is, or in a specific product category. The way you do that is you can click on this Add Anomaly to Sheet button. And what that does, it creates what we call an Insights widget. So just like a visual widget, you can drag things around, resize to accommodate your dashboard layout. If I expand the field wheels on the top, there are a couple of fields that are pre-populated based on the visualization that I took them from. So the date field and the metric revenue. To run anomaly detection, you need also at least one category. So I can pop in the product categories field, and I can also pop in the geography field. You can add up to 5 different categories in the field wheel to run anomaly detection on. If you have multiple categories, what we do is we take revenue over time and we split this by each of the categorical combinations. In this example, for simplicity, let me just show you running anomaly detection on geos revenue for each geography over time. So I will remove product category here. Now I have date, revenue, and geography. Now let's click on the Get Started button. Now you're in the configuration, anomaly configuration panel. Most of the things here are already pre-populated for you. There are couples that you want to pay attention to. First of all, it's the Analyze on Combinations option. So if you have multiple categories and they are hierarchical, let's say you have a category called country and then a state and city, right? Then what you want to do is run anomaly detection on the data in a hierarchical way, where if you have fields, let's say A, B, C, will run, in the case of country, state, and city, will run anomaly detection on each individual countries, each individual combinations of country and state, and then each individual combination of country, state, and city. But if your data is non-hierarchical, for example, in this demo, there's product categories and geos where you may sell the same products across multiple geographies, then you want to choose the Analyze All Combinations option so that we will run anomaly detection on geography, we'll run anomaly detection on product categories, and the combination of both. Scrolling down, you can see the number of anomalies to show option. So this option allows you to configure when there are anomalies detected in a given day, how many of them do you want it to be narrated out in the Insights widget? So the default number is 3. I'm just going to leave that like that. Next, and perhaps the most important part, is the schedule. Depending on the time granularity of your data, let's say if your data is hourly granularity, then you want to set an hourly schedule. If your data is daily, you want to set a daily schedule. In this case, I'm going to select running anomaly detection continuously on a daily basis. You can specify the time for the schedule to kick in, as well as the time zone. And notice that this schedule will not be in effect until you publish this analysis that you've been working on as a dashboard, and then you share it with others. And finally, it is contribution analysis, which I've shown earlier in the demo. In this setup, what we're doing is running anomaly detection on sales by geography over time. When an anomaly is actually detected for a particular geography or country, what you can then do is define, based on that specific anomaly, QuickSight can help you drill down and determine what are the product categories that contributed to an anomaly in that region. So here I'll want to select product category as the field to do contribution analysis. And then now that I have everything configured, I'll click OK and then run now. Depending on the scale of data and how many metrics you're analyzing, this may take a few minutes. This may take up to an hour. So while this is running, let me walk through forecasting with you, and then we'll come back to anomaly detection. So what I'll do is, let me just expand this a little bit back, and then I'm going to stretch this line chart out a little bit. Okay, so now you see that I have, this is the same time series that we've created earlier. And how do you go about creating a forecast for this? It is as simple as just clicking on the visual menu on the top right and then click Add Forecast. So with a simple click, QuickSight will automatically generate a forecast for you based on the patterns in your data. You'll notice a couple things here. This data, there's a weekly seasonality, right? So it dips towards the weekend, it increases towards the weekdays, and then it drops again. So a pretty common business pattern here. And QuickSight captures that pattern effectively within the forecast. You'll also notice that there's an anomaly here, right? Where there's a spike, there's an anomaly here where there was a dip in the middle of the week. And QuickSight automatically exclude anomalies as part of the forecast, so it doesn't bias the forecast for you. And it also captures the increasing trend here. So it makes it really easy for you to create a pretty reliable forecast. There's a couple of options on the left panels that you can play around with. One is change the number of periods that I want to forecast forward. So I can say, I can change this to 21 to forecast the next 3 weeks, and then click Apply. I can also quote unquote forecast a period backwards, which allows you to do a back testing and compare how a forecast compares to the actual results. So if I do 14 here and click apply, I can see how the historical forecast compares to the actual, right? And there are additional options for you to control the prediction interval, which influences how narrow or wide the band is. And you can also customize the seasonality. By default, QuickSight will automatically detect the seasonality, but you can change that if you want. The other feature I want to show you is what-if analysis within forecasting. So let's say this is my forecast, and I know for a fact that on the second week we're going to close a deal, and that is going to boost our revenue. So how do I account for that in the forecast? What you can do is click on this data point and then click on the what-if analysis option. Now you can set a target value for that particular date that is highlighted. Instead of 6.2 million, let's say we project that based on the upcoming close deal, this is going to be 3.6 million. I can click on that and then apply. Now QuickSight automatically scales the forecast to meet your target value, while still retaining the seasonality and the trending of the data. So if you hover over that data point, you can then easily compare what the original forecast looks like versus what the what-if analysis forecast looks like at any given point in time into the future. So now let's go back. Let's scroll up on top and give me 1 second. So now the anomaly detection run is complete, and QuickSight is telling us that there was one anomaly detected on November 14th for revenue, where Malaysia's revenue was $41,000, lower than expected, $43,000. And then I can click on the visual menu and then go to explore anomaly, just like I did before, to look at the trending of that and to see if there are any other anomalies detected. So here you'll clearly see that sales in Malaysia was pretty consistently increasing, and all of a sudden on November 4th there was a dip. And on the left side we'll give you a summary of what are the top contributors for this anomaly. In this case, office supply contributed to 53% of that drop. Sales for that, if you notice the natural language hover on the screen, it actually decreased from 13,000 to 11,000, which contributed significantly to this particular anomaly. One thing that I wanted to emphasize here is that because we're using machine learning to run anomaly detection, we do require on average a minimum of at least 40 points, historical data points, for training purposes for the algorithm. And depending on your time granularity, the number varies slightly. So you can click on this learn more. It takes you to a documentation, and here we document the minimum number of data points that we need for training. So if you are looking at daily level data, the first 38 historical data points, so the first 38 days in your data set, is going to be used for training. If you are looking at minute level granularity data, then you'll need at least 46 points or 46 minutes worth of data. Typically, we, let's say if you're looking at daily data, we recommend at least 3 to 6 months worth of data. That gives enough data point both in terms of for algorithm to do training and also to establish patterns, so you can see what are all the anomalies detected for the previous days. The other thing that you can see on this Explore Anomaly page is a number of metrics that were processed. So here it tells you that there were 21 metrics processed 3 minutes ago. These 21 metrics will be the sales for each of the geographies that the business is operating in based on this sample data set. And if you have multiple dimensions set up during the configuration of the anomaly detection, you may expect these metrics to be higher, right? Like, for example, if you layer in product categories, countries, and even the top 1,000 customers, you can run anomaly detection across a really large scale number of metrics. And we support within QuickSight at this point up to 1 million metrics on a particular anomaly detection job. You can click on the see details to see if there were any metrics that were, how many metrics were processed and ignored. Here it shows that there are 2 metrics that were ignored, and you may see these also when you run anomaly detection on your own data set. And oftentimes the reason why metrics are ignored is because they don't have enough historical data points. So for example, if you're running anomaly detection on sales by products, right, and you have a fairly new product that you release, let's say 2 weeks ago, then there's only 2 weeks worth of data, worth of daily data, and that will not be enough for the algorithm to train and tell you anomalies about it. So just keep that in mind when you run anomaly detection. At least for daily level granularity, you typically want to have 3 to 6 months worth of data for best results. So now let's go back to the analysis. So I've walked you through creating a forecast within a time series chart, running anomaly detection. Now let's look at the narratives a little bit more. Let me go ahead and reduce this down a little bit to accommodate some space. And now let's select this time series visualization and go back to the suggested insights panel. So again, this suggested insight gives you automatically a number of different interesting data points that you may want to look at. Let's say you're interested in adding the day-over-day change summary that you see here to your dashboard, because that's something you want to summarize for the users who are consuming your dashboard. To add this to the dashboard, there are several ways. The easiest is to just click on the Add button. And what that does is pop up another insights visual, this time with the same summary that you saw in the suggested insights panel. And then let me reduce this down a little bit to optimize the layout. So it's telling you that total revenue for November 17th decreased by 2.15% from 6.1 million to 5.9 million. Right. So this came from the suggested insights that you saw earlier. Now, what if you wanted to customize it? We know that for different businesses, you may want to you have specific languages that you may want to use, and you also may have different computations that you want to be able to customize within this narrative. You can do that by clicking on the visual menu and then choose Customize Narratives. So with that, QuickSight gives you a template mechanism that allows you to change various aspects of the text that you see on the dashboard. So for example, I can hover over the increase by here, right, and use the formatting options at the top to change increase by to green, and then change decrease by to red. Now, if I click apply, you'll notice where it was previously all blue, now decrease by became red. So you can leverage these functionalities to do conditional formatting, for example. But let's say you wanted to add additional insights to it. In addition to stating revenue period over period, you may want to summarize what the growth rate has been for the last 2 weeks. You can do that by clicking on the Add Computation button, and you're presented with a number of different pre-built computations within QuickSight. So you have options like stating where the top rank, top movers, what the growth rate looks like, what is the min, max, right? You can compare across different metrics. So in this example, let me choose growth rate. Select next. And the fields here are automatically pre-populated. If you have multiple metrics set up, then you can choose other metrics as well to compute growth rate. In this case, I'm just going to leave it at revenue. And let's say I want to compute growth rate based on the last 14 days. And then click Add. Now, nothing changes yet with your narrative and the template. If you expand the computations panel, you'll now see 2 types of computations. One is a period over period one, which was created from the suggested insights. And then the other one is the one that we just added, which is a growth rate. Underneath growth rate, each of these are variables that you can reference within the narrative. So let's start by creating an R narrative for growth rate. So I can say growth rate for the last time period. So this variable returns the number of days which was used to compute the growth rate for the last X days is, and then I'm going to reference the actual growth rate value, which is referenced here. There are a number of different options available to you. You can choose value, which gives you a raw number, or you can choose formatted value with respect to the metric formatting that you have defined earlier. So let me just select formatted value, and then with a period, and click apply. Now you'll notice that the narrative got updated with growth rate for the last 14 days is 0.15%. So this is a very simple example, and let's start by doing something more complex, right? So let's say you wanted to, let's look at conditional statements. So with QuickSight, we provide you various different functions so you can create if statements or for loops within your data. Let's start with if statement. I can do an if here and compare if the growth rate is greater than 0%, greater than 0, you can say great job. I'm going to bold that and make it green. And then I can add another if statement. Okay, if the growth rate, you want to use value here because that returns an actual number that you can do metric math on and comparisons. If it is less than 0%, you want to state, we need to do better. Bold that and make it red. Now, if I click apply, you'll notice that it's a great job because growth rate is greater than 0%. Now, let's look at a couple of other different examples. In particular, one that I want to call out is top-bottom and top-bottom movers. So I mentioned earlier that there are different ways to create insight. One is by just clicking on the plus button for the specific insight that you're interested in adding to your dashboard. The other way is to create something from scratch. The way you would do that is click on the add button on the top and then click on add insight. You're presented with which computation you would want to use. So here, let's say I want to look at what are the top movers in my data. It gives you a little example of what that output would look like, and then click select. Now you're ready to configure the fields that are going to be used for this insight. So I'm going to pop in the date field here. The metric I'm going to use is revenue, and then I want to look at the top movers based on product categories. So I can select categories, product category here, and QuickSight will automatically generate the top movers by category. And you'll notice that, you can also add and customize the text if you want here. So this is the template for top movers. It uses a combination of if statements as well as for loops to iterate through all the top items and then list the narratives out. So here I can select increase by, make it green, and then decrease by, make it red. And then click apply. So each of the top movers are green. You can create a separate one for bottom movers, or you can also easily add bottom movers from here and then choose bottom movers to add it into your insights. So I've walked through now creating an insights from scratch or through the suggested insights panel. With the customized narrative functionality, you can imagine the type of a sophisticated narrative that you will be able to create and the flexibility that you can get from it. With that, this concludes the demo. So let's switch back to the presentation. Okay, so of the three features that we just talked about, forecasting and narratives are offered for free as part of the enterprise edition of Amazon QuickSight at no additional cost. So you'll get those functionalities. If you're on enterprise edition, you can start using them. With anomaly detection, which you schedule to run continuously in the background, right? It comes with a usage-based pricing model. So there's no upfront fit and commitment. Pricing is based on the number of metrics processed per month, starting at 50 cents for 1,000 metrics processed. And you also get volume discounts so that as you add more data and new use cases for anomaly detection, it becomes even more affordable. And most importantly, with our free trial, you get for the first 2 months of usage, you get up to 500,000 metrics processed per month for free. So that gives you enough to try it out on your real data without incurring any cost. So here are a couple of examples, example use cases and pricing. So let's say your company sells 1,000 different products, right, across 20 countries, and you like to report on the anomalies in the number of orders for these products and countries on a daily basis. So the number of metrics generated based on this combination is 21,000 metrics. Because you are reporting it on a daily basis, right? You schedule it daily. So the 21,000 metric gets run 30 times or 31 times in a given month, right? And typically will result in roughly 630,000 metrics processed at 50 cents per 1,000 metric. That translates to around $315 per month. So you can run actually hundreds of thousands of metrics per month pretty affordably. Another common use case for anomaly detection is monitoring, like for uptime and failure rate. In this case, let's say you have 5,000 smart devices deployed worldwide. So the number of metrics that QuickSight will be processing is 5,000. But because you wanted to, you want to look at the data more granularly, right? You schedule it to run hourly, right? So for every hour you want to be notified of when there are anomalies for any particular smart device. The number of metrics in that case that the QuickSight will process is 3.65 million metrics processed per month. So that is 5,000 times 730 hours per month, and that averages around to $1,100 per month. So this example gives you a sense of how you think about the number of metrics that are being processed and the cost associated with it. And here are a few examples of how of the customers that are using ML insights and anomaly detection. One thing you'll notice is that these customers come from very different industries and vertical. With Expedia, for example, they're using anomaly detection to monitor for booking rates on their website to continuously provide traveler with the best offers on their search experience. Siemens is another example where they're looking at the health of the hundreds of machines that are used in their supply chain and manufacturing process. And with Daiso, they're using QuickSight to better understand sales trends across thousands of products sold in thousands of different retail stores worldwide. So that concludes the overview and demo of ML Insights today. If you would like to learn more about other aspects of QuickSight, we do have monthly QuickSight webinars. We'll paste this link in the chat window so that you can sign up for them. Our next QuickSight webinar, where we're going to talk about QuickSight more in the broader context, as well as look at some enterprise and administrative capabilities, is next week on March 27. So if you're interested, join us for that. I want to thank everyone for joining the webinar today, and we have a few minutes to go through any questions that you may have. Thank you.